This is I would say very highly requested from a lot of our users and our community. So I'm happy to get into it and finally talk about it. But so I'll kind of back up a little bit. We've been thinking about open source for a long time, even down to the kind of like initial debut of our product into the into our own internal development pipelines, but also into the market at large. And it all began with the classic open API spec. I know we'll talk a little bit more about that, but fun fact, most of our code inside of Pieces is actually generated off of Open API like 3.1, 3.2 spec, as well as a gRPC protobuf spec. So we have basically all of our models, all of our endpoints, all of our kind of streams, whether they're WebSockets or gRPC connections, fully spec'd out and available to be easily converted into client-side SDKs as well as full core packages. And so today, we're going to talk about that, right? We have worked really hard to build a lot of integrations, and we're going to be both open sourcing some of those as well as enabling the community to integrate with Pieces themselves directly. We can't build everything, and developers use all different types of tools out there. So, our goal is how do we kind of ease into the open source community, ease into our user base and say, hey, look, if you have an idea about a Vim plugin or you have an idea about a C++ plugin, we might be able to get it off the ground, but we'd love to have your help. And then as well, just, we've been doing some work with enterprise pilots, and they have all different types of internal tooling. So we started to do this kind of like open source experimentation, client-side SDKs with those folks because they're trying to integrate the things they save to Pieces into their internal pipelines, if you will. And then the last one too, there's all different types of ways to get things out of Pieces, but the easiest is probably having a client-side SDK, pull out the data, access it, organize it, format it, however you like, and then use it, So we'll talk about those things. I know Jordan's got a whole bunch of stuff, and Chevet's also got some stuff on community, how we're going to kind of run the process, how we're going to go about things. But then to set up the other part of this conversation, we're going to talk about two major pillars as to why you might want to use the client SDKs to build and integrate on top of or with Pieces. And so kind of, first principle number one is Pieces is a great place to put things, right? We've talked about this. We built an entire product and plugin ecosystem on top of that. But the thing about Pieces is that you can put something in there and it's going to become deeply enriched, right? We have all these enrichment pipelines that give you tags, titles, related links, all this great metadata. And so, the first principle when it comes to pillar one around the open source client SDKs is to be able to save, access, search, reuse, and really just pipe data around. But then the other principle, the other kind of major pillar is that Pieces has some incredible AI that's just wrapped in a really elegant way around some endpoints. And if you wanted to build a copilot on top of, Llama 2 or Code Llama or Bard or even OpenAI, you can do that, right? So we've got some incredible QGPT endpoints. You can get things like follow-up questions. You can get things like, relevance. You can set context. And all this stuff is just packaged into a real nice couple of endpoints that you don't have to reinvent the wheel yourself. So we'll kind of break that down. And over time, you'll see us do a lot of samples, a lot of community engagement in both those pillars, saving, reusing, and pulling things out, but then also building copilots and workflow agents on top of Pieces OS. So with that, Jordan, I'm going to let you take it over. We're going to talk about kind of getting our code out there in the first place. Big step for us. So we appreciate the patience with everyone. And then Chevet will go and talk about community from there.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for kicking it off, Tsavo. It's just great being here. It's great talking to everyone about this huge open source initiative. And like Tsavo said, we're just really pumped to start opening these things up to the community and finding really cool, applicable ways for us to collaborate and build some cool products on top of the things that we've been working on for the past couple of years. So I know that we got here and we were like, we needed to repackage our internal tools and get those out to everyone so that they can use them. So the first step in this journey has been discovering how to publish and deploy and live on NPM. And it's been really cool, like going through that process. But now we have our own, I'd still call it beta, a very, very early version of our entire like JS TypeScript compatible library that you can use to communicate with Pieces OS. All you need is OS server or Pieces OS, and you can download it and use it on your local machine.